Good morning. Welcome to the Celtic Way Morning Briefing Live. I'm Tony Haggerty. It's Wednesday, the 23rd of February, isn't it, Aidan? I believe
Yes,
that's
indeed.
to be true. Yes. Cool. Thank you very much. I'm Tony Haggerty, as you know, at Haggerty10 Twitter handle, and I'm joined today by Aidan Macdonald at Aidan C. Macdonald Twitter handle. How are you, Aidan?
Yeah, I'm really good, Tony. How are you?
Very well, yes. Even better for speaking to the main man yesterday. We'll get to that. But first and foremost, guys, got to big this up. It's your last chance. It ends tonight, 11:59. My 90s deadline, Aidan, kind of 11:59, but it ends tonight. Get that form away, send it in, and you'll be in the draw for two League Cup final tickets for Sunday's match, Celtic and Rangers. If you're already in the draw, good luck. If not, guys, you know what to do. New subscribers, it costs you £1 for 3 months of unlimited access to everything that's written on the website. Something there for everybody, as you know. And existing subscribers, the form will be dropping in your email inbox. You should have filled it in by now. If not, get it done as quick as you can and send it away because it ends tonight, 11:59 tonight. The draw will be done at some point tomorrow. One lucky subscriber's going to Hampden Aidan, and for new subscribers, you'll also get the forum. Send it away, all for the click of a button. www.celticway.co.uk/subscribe. That's www.celticway.co.uk/subscribe. And you could be going to Hampden, courtesy of your friends at the Celtic Way. Aidan, I can't big it up any more than that, can I?
No, it's a brilliant prize, and obviously, as well as the tickets, you'll get access to our content for 3 months. So that'll include tactics pieces, scouting, big interviews with yourself, Tony, other sorts of feature interviews as well, colour pieces from yourself. So, yep, plenty of content. Get yourself involved if you're not already subscribed.
Indeed. And before we go on to talk about what the events of yesterday, we say thank you to our sponsors, Seneca. The Celtic Way Morning Briefing is now sponsored by Seneca Medical Group, and Seneca are the #1 hair transplant company in Europe, and they offer innovative hair restoration treatments. And you can find out more about Seneca via the links in the description of this video. Thank you, Seneca. Now, Aidan, as I said there, and the title of the briefing, the manager spoke yesterday, spoke at some length, 18 minutes, and yes, he was great value. Now a couple of questions coming in and a couple of comments coming in, saying, Kirsty O'Connor saying, Tony Boyd on Brown's request for the big man, that's very kind. Now, Aidan, your first thoughts, what did you think of Ange's overall 18 minutes when it was presented to you?
Definitely interesting, Tony. He had a few of the sort of classic one-liners that you would expect, and I think we were just kind of discussing that it does seem like he's getting a bit sick of some of the questions now. I think obviously that sort of run over the December, maybe January, when it was a couple of games a week, there was maybe a bit of repetition in what some people were asking, etc. And I think that is starting to kind of weigh on him a wee bit. I get that impression, but he also seemed to enjoy a few of the other questions in terms of his thing about being a pilot and stuff like that. He was
Yeah,
obviously
I mean that was great value.
enjoying some of them, but yeah, I mean you kind of know what to expect with an Ange press conference at this point. Obviously, there's the added spice of the fact it's a final, it's against Rangers, etc. Given the fact they obviously did have briefly anyway, from what I understand, both managers in the room together. So yeah, it was definitely explosive in some ways, but then probably a bit more predictable in others. But it was an entertaining watch. For you being there, Tony, did you get that kind of same energy when you were in the room?
Oh yeah, and yeah, he gives you the mate treatment. Someone's asked me in the comments if he gave me the mate treatment, but it certainly wasn't me. For those that are interested, and maybe those that have watched the YouTube video with Celtic put it out, I asked him, and it's about 11 and a half minutes in, I asked him that his message to the players, because a lot of the players have said that his message is always make this your best individual game, make this your best team game, be the best you can be. So my question to him was, okay, if that's your message to the players and you're holding them to those standards, managerially, what do you do to hold yourself to those standards? That's what I asked him. How does he be the best manager he can be? And he was very expansive when he told us all. He gave us that kind of don't let a moment of your career be wasted. because I know what it's like to hang up my boots and you miss it all. And it's only when I realised that when I was translating, we do the Q&A, and the answer to my question was about that length. And I thought, well, he's obviously, expanded on that. But he seemed pretty engaged. And then I followed that up with asking him that people talk about pressure and they wouldn't like to be in his shoes for picking a cup final 11. And I asked him, but this is the bit you actually like, standing at the training ground, watching your team training this week and picking that team and being in the midst of it all. And he kind of said, yeah, that what he kind of reinforced the fact that he does like that, and he loves the fact that he loves to build teams and people don't know what he's about, stuff like that. So this is what he loves about it all. So he was, he was genuinely great. Never gave me the mate treatment. I think that was reserved for somebody that asked. No, as Andrew Grealish said, Tony was giving you a look. No, it wasn't me. He just sort of stared in my general direction as people were taking pictures, but it wasn't anything kind of sinister, or he wasn't getting annoyed. But I think he was asked about Michael Beale had said that the two teams were going in great form, and did he agree with that? And I think that was a question that got the mate treatment, because he said he couldn't speak for Rangers. He could only speak for his own club. So, yeah, he was looked kind of tetchy at first, but he got warmed up when he got into it. And as I say, he answered my questions fine, so I was happy with that, Aidan.
Yeah, I mean, I did really enjoy your question, obviously, Tony, and it's good to see in the comments as well, people giving you positive feedback on that. But overall, the presser, like I say, there was a few interesting lines. Probably when Ange was a bit frustrated, the one you've just mentioned there being a key example of that. I mean, it was a bit of a bizarre question, to be honest, maybe prompted by the fact that they were both in the room right at the start. Although I think, as much as I understand, Tony, that was kind of just for
that was for the picture opportunity,
yeah.
And then they were taken outside to be pictured with the trophy.
And came back in.
Yeah, and they came back in and they did their interview separate. But it did seem a bit weird, because I don't recall that happening. I mean, my memory might be playing tricks on me, but I don't recall them being brought in to sit together at a table. I do recall them being taken outside and they do the picture of the two of them side by side beside the trophy, that kind of stuff. But I don't recall them actually coming in and sitting at a desk. And I don't know if that was maybe annoying Ange, because it seemed a bit pointless. But I think all the kind of journalists, or the broadcast journalists, were certainly sitting kind of waiting, and the two of them came in, and then people started taking pictures, and before someone introduced it all and said that this was the kind of setup. They were bringing them in to take them back outside, which just didn't make any sense to me. But hey, I'm not organising it, so there you go.
Yeah, I certainly hadn't seen that before in terms of the two managers together like that. I definitely don't think that happened when it was 2019 final with Steven Gerrard also at the time and Neil Lennon. I don't remember that happening at the time anyway. I think that's an image that probably does stuck in my head. But
because it caused a rumpus on Twitter, because everyone thought they were doing a dual press conference.
Well, to be honest, Tony, that's what I thought until I was watching Sky Sports at the time in the background to obviously wait to see what Andrew was going to say in terms of lines for the website and on news lines for the website, I should say. And it was when it showed you Ange, it kind of made clear there that the presser, he was also conducting that just as he would usually, just have himself sitting getting asked questions. But kind of until that happened, I honestly thought both guys were together as well, to be honest.
Yeah, and you did the kind of piece yesterday. Listening to the two of them, and maybe it is just through green tinted specs, which I clearly have because my glasses are green, but I would say Ange was the more inspirational of the two. Having listened to both guys, I mean, and I listen to Ange a lot. It's a big bugbear of mine to say you need to listen to him, but I think he certainly spoke the more, if I was sitting there, well, I did sit there and listen to him. If I wanted to go out and run through a brick wall, I'd run through a brick wall for Ange. And that's no slight on Michael Beale, because this is his first cup final and maybe just wanted to tread carefully and not say anything wonderizery or inflammatory or anything that could be pinned up in a dressing room wall, and he didn't. But I was very impressed by the manager, and I was impressed by the fact that he said he can't be like a fan and get nervous or angry. It's up to him to be calm, but he just exudes calmness.
Yeah, he does kind of put you at ease when he's speaking, and it's really been that way since he came in. You were never, even after those games, the first sort of 3 or 4 matches, the start of last season, which obviously were quite tough, it's been well documented at this point. But when Andrew's speaking after the games, you did think, I still do believe in this guy, despite it being a bit of a struggle. And yeah, his press conferences, they do always kind of put you at ease, even before the Champions League games when you were obviously up against Real Madrid and that, when you sort of listened to Ange after it, you thought maybe you could do something here, because that's just sort of the level of kind of motivation and hopefulness that he inspires in you. But yeah, it was an interesting presser overall, Tony. And obviously, one of the highlights of it you mentioned, just the news that I put up yesterday when he was talking about your career being over. What was your kind of thoughts on those comments?
Well, I just thought it kind of reinforces the fact that make every moment count. Now, there's no guarantee Celtic are going to win the cup final on Sunday on the back of Andy being an inspirational manager and saying all the right things and saying some great things that Celtic supporters agree with. But I just think if you're telling that to the players on a daily basis, then you can understand why the players are playing to such a high optimum level in trainings, at a premium. Guys want to play for him, and I think that was the thing that struck me when he came in, that when you spoke to other people or players that had played under him, that's what they said. He was just a real motivator, and you wanted to play for his teams because they played football in a style that everybody enjoyed. And I remember the Australian international Ryan, whose second name was
McGowan.
McGowan, that's the one, Ryan McGowan. He put up that speech that he gave to say this moment. Remember the people that have helped you on your journey, your coaches, your mum and dad, all these people. This is for them, And it did get the hairs in the back of your neck and your spine tingling. And he and he said at one point yesterday, "I'm a man of few words." We see the words he uses. My goodness, he really does know how to rally the troops and get them to answer the call and play for what Tommy Burns once said was a cause. You're playing for a cause, and I think Ange's grasped that, and that he's grasped the whole metal in terms of the supporters. No, it's a cause, and he's just the. I said before, my father said that he's the closest thing that Celtic have got to Jock Stein, both as a manager and in the way he conducts himself. And I don't know. I'm sure he's aware of that himself, but he's certainly tapping into that. And I just every time you hear him, you cannot be anything other than impressed. He is just so calm, and he loves the club, he loves the supporters, he loves the players, but he loves being a football manager. And going back to you said that line about I've done this for 26 years. When you're a pilot, you kind of know what you're doing. And I think it was just to sort of sell people. I've been around a bit. I've been at success. Just maybe not in this part of the world, but it doesn't mean it's that success should be treated as any less. And it's true. So I think he's got a handle on this football management malarkey, and I think he's got a bigger handle on football press conferences. But the one thing that floats his boat, Aidan's football. I try and ask him football questions.
Yeah, I think it's fair to say he almost knows what he's doing, Tony. I think that'd be a fair comment. But yeah, since he's came in, I think his pressers have been pretty good to an extent, entertaining, obviously, from a Celtic fan's point of view, and then just from a journalist point of view as well. I think he does give good answers as long as the questions are of a good quality, really. But yeah, those comments about when you retire, you miss everything, even the bad days, etc. You don't want to sit there when your career's finished and think, oh, I didn't give my all in so many situations, etc. And I think those sort of comments are quite a good motivating factor ahead of that cup final. I mean, I know obviously Celtic were in it last year and won the cup final, the League Cup final the first time I asked him last season. I know he's been in many finals before and won them, such as when he won the Asian Cup. But yeah, he's been some of these comments I think have been top draw, and I think they are a good factor, and I'm sure they'll be in the players' head because obviously Celtic did win the cup final last season, but in the League Cup final last season, sorry, but it's bigger again almost this year, obviously, given the fact you're playing Rangers. So, yeah, I'm sure the players will be right up for it, Tony. I've got no doubt about that.
But even allowing for that fact, he was so calm. I mean, he's saying, yeah, it's a cup final, it's not just any other game, but it was, he just kind of downplayed it. It was just, as he said himself, everything you wanted your manager to be. Not nervous, not angry, not excited. He was just like, listen, I'm in charge here, I'm in control, I know what I'm doing, trust me. Again, I'm not saying that's a guarantee of a win, but you saw a man who there that was calm in what he was doing and probably knows his team already. And he was yeah. I think it's like they got that out of the way very early so they could get on with his preparation. And most people saying why he did it on a Tuesday, because you usually do it on a Thursday or a Friday, but I think it was a conscientious decision by both, because they want that time with the players and from now until Sunday, and not to be distracted by anything. And I can fully understand that. And it struck me as being that he just wants to know, what was that give him now, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, with the players to really drive it home. And and as I say, they will be well fired up. I was ready to run through a brick wall from yesterday after that. I'm just sitting this side asking a question, So I think he's impressive. He's a very calm individual. He knows what he's talking about, and he, as a supporter, it's pretty heartening to see that.
Yeah, he seems to very much have that sort of man-to-man coaching, leadership, whatever you want to call it. Management is probably the word I was looking for there. And yeah, he can do that sort of. He can make the players calm when they need to be, but also probably turn it up to say, this is a big game, and that's good. I don't think you want to go probably too far either way. Being in the middle like that's probably the sort of best way to be ahead of such an important game like this. And yeah, fingers crossed. I know we'll not go into anything like predictions or anything like that, 'cause it's the rest of the week for that, but fingers crossed, Tony, that the sort of Ange's calmness is a good factor come the weekend.
Yes, now here's another one that he spoke about as well. Derek Hill saying, were you on the pitch? How's it looking close up? Wasn't actually on the pitch, but I went into the stands, had a look at the pitch. It's looking slightly better, but there are bits. I saw the lights that were on it, shining on it, and there's still bits that are looking cut up and maybe not recovered from the last time. But from my eye point and my standpoint, where I could see, I was kind of looking. I was just above where they usually present the trophy. I was a bit above that, and looking down, it looked better, but it certainly by no stretch was it perfect. I think Ange spoke about that and said that it was better. It looked better than the last time, didn't he? But he wasn't too sure on how it's going to be come Sunday. But they've done some work to it, but don't know if they've addressed all the issues, Derek. But they're certainly trying. Now, another issue, Aidan, that he spoke about was Aaron Mooy. Seems to be pretty positive news about Aaron Mooy. ... Reading between the lines, you kind of think that he might make the final and be included in the starting 11. That was what I took from it.
Yeah, I think at the very least, based off Ange's comments, I'm hoping he's going to be on the bench, Tony.
Yeah.
Because he said obviously he's back in training. And I think David Turnbull said he was back in training as well, didn't he? So
yes, he said the two of them are back in training. I think he would be back in training.
Yeah. Without maybe using it word for word, he did basically say they're both in contention. Whether or not they both start, I mean, Turnbull probably wouldn't be the player that would start that match anyway, but obviously, given his sort of goal record and that this season, particularly when coming off the bench, it's a good player to have in the squad to bring on if needed. Mooy, if he was fit, would be in contention to start, probably between him and O'Reilly beside Tati in the middle of the park. But yeah, it was positive comments, and given that we didn't really know what Mooy's injury was last week, when Andrew was speaking before the game, we just kind of said, I think he'd pulled up sore. I might be paraphrasing there, but that was kind of rough what he said. So when you heard that, I was like, I was a wee bit worried that maybe they didn't know the full extent of the injury yet, and also the fact that he didn't mention it in his presser the day before, as if it maybe just happened. Maybe it just happened during that session, or it maybe happened after the press conference. So I was worried that it was going to be something that was going to have to go and get checked out a lot. But hopefully he is going to be all right, because he'd be a really important player, Tony. We obviously know how well documented how good he's been since the World Cup, 8 goals, assists. But I think at Ibrox, I know we spoke about it at the time with Sean as well, as much as maybe didn't get the final touch for the assist for the goal, he played a sort of important role in terms of
driving Celtic forward.
Yeah, the build up to it, and not even just the goal. His passing was crisp, he was calm, because that was quite obviously it was a pressurised environment. I'm stating the obvious there, but given Celtic were 2-1 down, they had to get that goal, and he was very calm when he had the ball, I thought. So he's definitely somebody that you would want to potentially start or have come off the bench.
It is your biggest dilemma, really, isn't it? When you look at the team, you are thinking Mooy or O'Reilly, really, isn't it? For that midfield pair.
Pretty much, yeah. I would say that's probably the biggest decision.
Yeah.
That Ange's got.
I do like this from K Matsu. Back in the day when Ange was at Brisbane, a journal asked if the other coach was trying to get inside his head, and Ange quipped, even if he does, I'm not sure he would understand what he sees. Love that. I'm a big fan of that, and I think Ange's another top answer, isn't it? He just knows how to deal. He just knows how to deal with these things, doesn't he, Aidan? And
yeah, that's just the experience as well, isn't it, Tony? I mean, as he said, he's been a manager for 26 years. He's done hundreds, potentially maybe thousands of press conferences at this point. Different ones as well, like working at international level, Champions League level, in Japan, obviously, when it was completely different language. So, yeah, I think he's basically seen it all in terms of press conferences and questions at this point, I would imagine.
Andrea Galea comes in and says both Mooy and Kyogo will start. Guys, get your comments coming in. What's your thoughts on that? Mooy or O'Reilly? Who do you think? Do you have a preference for who starts in the midfield? Do you think the team picks itself? Or I know certainly where I'm headed with my starting 11, Aidan, but we'll do that on Friday to keep the kind of air of suspense going. But yeah, I mean, it is getting exciting. Once the managers are spoken and you're kind of in the midweek, you are kind of looking forward. Now, Sunday can't come quick enough. Wombat agrees that both start. My ball comes in and says Mooy for him, and Max start. Wouldn't mind O'Reilly over Mooy Sunday. Need legs for Sunday. It is a big dilemma. Belly coming in, defo Mooy, but I'm happy either way. I'm a bit like that as well because I really, really love Matt O'Reilly, but do you think Aaron Mooy on current form maybe shades it for me, Aidan? So.
I think it probably speaks to the testament of how strong the squad is, Tony, that you're kind of happy with either player. I mean, it was getting to the stage when the manager first came in that in some positions you maybe weren't quite happy with any of the players that were available, do you know what I mean? Or do you feel it could be upgraded? So the fact that you've got O'Reilly or Mooy, everybody's obviously got their probably their preference, but I don't think anybody would look at no matter who starts and go, because O'Reilly's not starting, because Mooy's not starting, that means we're going to lose the game. Or that puts us at a severe disadvantage, which that's a strong position to be in, that you're quite happy with whoever gets a shout to start the game. And I obviously, we'll probably go into specifics maybe, that'll probably be quite a big discussion point on Friday, I would imagine, Tony. But when we're doing the game, and then obviously I'll predicted the 11s, but I think either or would be fine, and that does show how strong the midfield is, really, that you're quite happy with either one of them. Obviously, with the caveat being that we'd probably hope or assume anyway that McGregor and Hatate, that's probably not the last spoiler if I predicted the 11s. I think we imagine they'll both be playing, but it does show you how strong the midfield is, that you could play one or two players in one of the number 8 positions and you wouldn't really lose too much quality.
Yeah, Jill Pill comes in. Mooy, Cal, Mac, Hatate. Sorry, Pete McGee, just flicked up your comment. He's loved the Riders from first kick of the ball, but Mooy has to start to help Celtic dominate the midfield. Lots of love coming for Mooy. Edward Y of Oz. Mooy been there, done that, has to start. But I'm like you, regardless of who he plays, whether it's Mooy or O'Reilly, I'm equally as happy. And Andrew Reid says Mooy or O'Reilly, good problem to have, but in Ange, the Celtic supporters trust. That's very true. We've said that before. It doesn't really matter what team he puts out. They are capable of winning football matches, and it'll be no different come Sunday.
Yeah, and the fact that the squad, without repeating myself, but the squad is so strong, and you could argue that in terms of injuries, there's not really that many. There is obviously Seagrass got a knock, Stephen Welsh is obviously kind of out long term, but in terms of players that be regularly starting, everybody's pretty much available. Even having Ralston, etc., back in contention, wouldn't expect him to start the game, obviously, but being available off the bench, he's another one that was so important last season. So yeah, the Celtic as overall the squad's in a really good place, and it's just in time for the business end of the season, though, isn't it? Because it's kind of full pelt now between Sunday and the end of the season. 12 league games, I think it is roughly. Potentially 3 more Scottish Cup ties, at least one more anyway, and obviously the League Cup final. So plenty of football, and it's exciting times, Tony. No doubt about that.
Without doubt that Celtic are heading into this in a very good place, and also with, as you say, with the exception of those players that were injured, but they weren't really featuring of late. So they've got as fit and as full a squad as they possibly can.
No suspensions either, touchwood at the moment.
Yeah, no suspensions either. Yeah, of course. So I mean it is the ideal scenario heading into a League Cup final against Rangers. As I say, these things are no guarantee of winning. I'm not saying that Celtic are going to run away with it, but I think if you're a Celtic supporter, there's a quiet air of confidence and optimism. It's not arrogance, it's just based on what you're watching and the football that the team are providing at this moment in time. You think they've got enough to cope with what Rangers could throw at them? We'll find out on Sunday. But like everything else, it's not the end of the world if they lose, because the league is always the priority. But when there's a trophy on the line and Celtic are defending it, I want them to win it.
Yeah, when you get to the final as well, you don't, regardless of the opposition, or when you're only one game away from winning the trophy, you obviously do want to get it over the line because you've done that work in the previous rounds to get to the main event, so to speak. So yeah, fingers crossed it works out.
Now, still on the kind of Jill Pill comes in saying Mooy is so calm, exactly what we need. And trying to flick up yet. Sam Hartley saying his broader views that Ange utilises all the players, including those on the bench, to maximum advantage. We have spoken about that before, and I think that's been a huge difference since returning from the break. He sort of spoke about that as well, that he's added players to the squad, and it's helped keep training levels high, and everybody wants to play for Ange's team. They want to be in that starting 11. So I think I agree with Sam on that guys that are coming on, he always says it himself, whether you're getting 80 minutes or 10 minutes, you're coming on to make an impact. So that whole Mooy O'Reilly dilemma, doesn't really matter who plays, who starts, the other one's coming on, and they're coming on to affect what's happening in the game, Aidan.
Yeah, and the subs have been excellent recently in terms of their contribution. Obviously, at the weekend there, Abada scored off the bench, and then the previous week, O'Reilly got his first goal of the season. Hitati got 2, so it's been really putting Haksabanovic, which actually fought against St Mirren as well, had a pretty positive contribution despite not starting that game. So yeah, it is important because, to be honest, the weekend is the sort of game that could be tight, 0-0, or maybe even get a goal down at a stage, and with half an hour to go, the subs need to come on, and it's not just about them kind of going through the motions and seeing out the game. They maybe need to come on and affect it. So the fact that Ange, when he's been bringing players on recently, have been doing that is positive, I think, ahead of that game, Tony.
Yeah, Cherry Smith coming in does mean something. God forbid we lose, Tony. Speaking for myself, it takes me days to get over it. I'm not dismissing it. I'm just saying there's a possibility of losing. You have to accept that. But I think this Celtic team is confident that they can go on and finish the job and defend the trophy they won last season. And also, they are 9 points clear at the top of the table. If you ask me every year what's a priority, the league's always a priority. Cups are bonuses, but now that they're in the final and it's against Rangers, of course, nothing less than winning it will suffice, because you will feel down after it, and it will, you hope that it won't affect you. But again, conversely, I'm only thinking about winning it, Aidan, and going unbeaten for the rest of the season, and possibly winning a domestic treble. Ange was asked the treble question yesterday, and he just said we can only affect what's in front of us. Exactly. So win the first one, get that surge in confidence, and let it soar for the rest of the season.
Yeah, that's exactly that. And the manager, that'll be always thinking about winning it and maybe going unbeaten between now and the end of the season. And it's obviously a big ask, but given his sort of record from when they lost that game at Livingston, in the last campaign, then they went on that run up until, in terms of domestic, without going on a domestic loss, up until obviously the semi-final against Rangers in the Scottish Cup. So they've put longer unbeaten runs together under Ange than obviously they have in this current one. So it's a possibility, but I think he did mention yesterday in terms of when he was asked the question about potentially winning a treble. You know, you need to get that first one over the line, then you can maybe start to think, and then you need to get number 2 over the line. Obviously, Celtic are in a really good position with the league, and that is the main priority, particularly the last couple of seasons, given the automatic the automatic Champions League spot at the end of it. It's even more important really than it was in previous years. So yeah, there's no doubt that the league is the main priority, but if Celtic were to win on Sunday, they'd put themselves in a really, really good position, and I don't think it'd be unfair to say that fans, there would become a bit of an expectation if you did win on Sunday, going for a treble, because you're in a really good position in the league. So you would hope you could sort of fight your way through it. It'll be a tough game against Hearts at Tynecastle in the Scottish Cup quarters, obviously, but then if you get through that, there's only 2 games left. But I did agree with Andrew when he's like, just one at a time. It's just the best way to do it, isn't it? But I'm sure the players will have it in the back of their heads about potentially going towards a treble, but I don't think the manager will be allowing anybody to speak about it.
I mentioned this on Monday, that Celtic will do a good performance at Hampden, and I also think that losing to Rangers in last season's Scottish Cup semi-final, it's not necessarily a bad thing coming into this, because that might give you fuel not to feel like that again, because Celtic were going well at that time too, and that was a kind of slap in the dish, as you want to call it. So yeah, and an example that you can't take anything for granted ever in football. But I did mention on Monday that they kind of not struggled at Hampden, but not brought their A game to Hampden, and I was hoping that if they do, then you can see joy at the end of it, and the cup being wrapped in green and white ribbons. But we sort of went through the games of the St Johnstone semi 1-0 with James Forrest, cup final against Hibs having to come back, the semi-final against Rangers that they lost in extra time, and then the Kilmarnock semi-final, they are doing enough to get over the line. But I think if Celtic turn up and they perform and play that brand of football at Hampden, then, and I did say that by law of averages is there you go. That they turn up and they actually play at Hampden, then it could be worth the watch.
Yeah, I mean, in terms of just the example of Hampden, I do agree with you that probably some of the performances haven't been great, but I think a lot of time it is just about the result, isn't it? And I know the manager is always talking about performance, and it is, but you don't always need to play that well to win one-off games in the cup. The prime example of that being obviously that League Cup final in 2019. Now, I'm not suggesting that I want that sort of performance, Tony. I don't think anyone else could take that. I'm still recovering from that game 3.5 years later. But I do think that it doesn't always need to be a vintage performance at Hampden, for example, to get the job done. But it is probably the need for a better performance than the previous games you've mentioned is probably inflated by the fact you are playing Rangers rather than, maybe playing Motherwell, no disrespect to them, but in the final. So, the manager will be keen for the team to impress, but I'm kind of like, as long as they win the game, I'm not going to...
I'm a result man, always in terms of cup finals, but I just think if
you play well, but usually
put on a show, then that would be good. Sam Hardy laughing, somebody that slap in the dish means a slap in the face. Sorry, I'm speaking maybe in the vernacular there, but there you go. But yes, indeed, results are paramount on Sunday. But as you say, even turning up and playing your Sunday best doesn't not necessarily guarantee you'll win in the Christopher Julian final. Showed that, didn't it? That Fraser Forster was superhuman that day, psyched out Morelos, and I think Rangers did everything other than score. Celtic scored that day and ran away with the trophy. So these things do happen. But Jerry O'Ross saying if we don't play that great and still win, take that. Of course you will. You got to win. But I think the manager wants to do both, doesn't he?
Yeah, he does.
He win with a bit of style.
Yeah, he always says that, Tony, doesn't he? I mean, we obviously will listen to his pressers and write them up for the site, and he's always talking about performance. And look, I do agree with him. I just think that when it comes to one-off games like that in the final, it's just kind of win at all costs, isn't it?
Yeah.
And obviously, that Celtic team have shown they can do that. The games you've mentioned there, the prime example probably being that Hibs one. they were right under the cosh at one each, didn't play that particularly well, but they won the game 2-1. All you really remember is Kyogo's 2 brilliant goals and then lifting the trophy. So, yeah, but they will, given the fact that as Rangers are playing in the final as well, the performance will definitely have to be better than all those games that you've listed, no doubt about that.
And I hope, Aidan, that's what we're talking about on Monday. Moments of brilliance like Kyogo's 2 goals in the last final, and we're not talking about a VAR decision going
I can't
ahead.
promise that, Tony. I'm sorry.
I know we can't promise that, that's the thing, but I just genuinely hope that it's a moment of brilliance that wins it, preferably by a Celtic player, obviously, like Kyogo did last year. But, I mean, can you imagine the uproar it will cause if VAR gets involved? And, so I don't want to preempt that, but just here's hoping that it's decided in a fitting football manner by a goal worthy of winning it, or a team performance, or something like that, rather than other issues surrounding the game. Child Palsy, Tony, can we have the correct answer before Sunday? Still a work in progress, that, to be fair. Aye, leave it with me. I'm trying, man. I'm spinning plates. I was a busy man yesterday. I was talking to the main man. Is that allowed? But and thanks for your comments, guys. Your kindness about the questions and stuff at the start. Appreciate that. Always do. You're all very kind. So thank you for that. But I just seen it as doing my job. Journalist does job, shocker type thing. But hey, I appreciate it. It's always humbling when people take time out to be kind. So thank you for that. Well, Aidan, I think we will end it there. We've got Thursday and Friday to get through. Don't want to exhaust every topic, but I've got to say, guys, get involved in this. Last chance. As Europe would say, you'll probably not know, Aidan, but Europe, it's the final countdown. For those of a certain vintage, they'll know
I do know that one, Tony.
You know that one? Hey, it's Wonder of the World, ladies and gentlemen. Aidan knows one of the songs I mentioned. So it's the final countdown regarding this. 11:59 tonight, guys. Get involved. Send the form away. Subscribe. It costs you £1 for 3 months for unlimited access to everything we write on the website. Click of a button, www.celticway.co.uk/subscribe. That's www.celticway.co.uk/subscribe. It's open to new and existing subscribers. If you're a new subscriber, you'll get a forum. Fill in the forum, send it away. You'll be in the draw, and existing subscribers, you'll have had that forum in your email inbox. Hopefully, you've sent it away. You'll be in the draw. Draw takes place tomorrow, Thursday, the 23rd. Don't actually know what time at, but it's certainly taking place. But one lucky subscriber's going to go to Hampden, and they'll win those tickets. And if you're there and you see myself and Sean, please say hello. We'll thank you for subscribing, and we'll have a wee kind of huddle or something before the game starts. Aidan, can't say fairer than that. What a deal that is.
Yeah, no, that's an excellent deal, and particularly if you're like me and you missed out on the ballot, then which of course, Tony, I'm still not bitter about. I'll only mention it every single podcast.
Like the Murphys.
I only mention it every single podcast, but yeah, it's a good opportunity. Or maybe if you weren't able to be in the ballot originally, it's obviously a chance to get to what could be one of the kind of games that's hopefully looked back on as one of the most iconic of the season.
Indeed. And we say thank you to Seneca and the Celtic Way Morning Briefing, now sponsored by Seneca Medical Group. And Seneca are the #1 hair transplant company in Europe, and they offer innovative hair restoration treatments. And you can find out more about Seneca via the links in the description of this video. What is it now? Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. 4 more sleeps. Is that right? My arithmetic's correct, but it's probably not. But
yeah, 4 more sleeps. 4
more sleeps if you're that way inclined. Yeah, indeed. Guys, thank you so much. Thank you for your comments. Thanks for getting involved. Thanks for all the nice things you said. Myself, Aidan, and Sean are eternally grateful for what we do in the morning. And yeah, we know we say it a lot, but it's a wonderful community we've built on this in particular, and we enjoy the interaction. We really do, and we try and get you involved as much as possible. And you like getting involved, we can see that. So thanks for your comments. Aidan, thank you for your contribution today. First class as always. Take care, guys. Have a wonderful Wednesday. We'll see you tomorrow for a terrific Thursday and then a fabulous Friday, and then we'll take it from there. in the lap of the gods after that. Take care.
Cheers, guys.